So welcome to Angels Don't Lie. I'm your host, Jeannie Street. And tonight we have a very special conversation that I'm excited, a little nervous, a little emotional to share. I'm here here in my house, joined by my husband, Brian.
Hello, everyone.
We've been together for
A long time.
A long time. That's a good answer. A long time. Since I was 17. So we've been through lots and lots of things together, lots of different life experiences, but this one
was definitely a life experience.
It was definitely different, right? It had a different tone and different energy to it. But we're going to talk tonight about our experience that we had, because he didn't just have it, we had
Yes, we had it together.
We did, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're so funny.
The whole family had it.
The whole family had it, seriously. Mm-hmm. So you're feeling a little like you don't really want to do this, but you're doing it to appease me?
No, I'm doing it because I think I've had the experience, so I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not in my character to do this. And you know that.
I do.
And my sister knows that.
I specifically know that, right? But I think that's what the interesting part is. Like when we step out of our comfort zone and when we feel something so passionately that we just have to do it, right?
Yeah. I think I was told to do it.
So we are going to talk about near-death experiences. We are going to talk about what it looks like from his viewpoint, not necessarily everyone's viewpoint, but from the personal experience that he went through and my personal experience of what that feels like as a spouse, because I know a lot of people have had experiences that don't always make sense. We call them spiritual awakenings. We can call them rebirths. We can call them many different things. So this is going to be a really great show. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, whatever you're going to do, maybe a glass of wine, and sit down and let's get some conversation going. So we're going to start by, I'm just going to ask Brian a couple of questions to kind of lead into what exactly happened. So this was March 30th that you went to the hospital.
Yep.
And what was the experience? Like why, I know why, but let's tell the listeners why you went into the hospital.
I went to the hospital for diverticulitis, which I've had many times before. And they had to admit me, well, I went to the ER, they had to admit me because what they were doing wasn't working. So they were going to put me on IV for one night.
Right. So just one night, he had already been on antibiotics for almost a full 2 weeks, and it hadn't changed the situation, hadn't cleared up the infection in the intestines. And if you don't know what diverticulitis is, you can Google that after. We won't go into that. So he was spending the night, which I wasn't allowed to go with him to the ER, which is a little nerve-wracking, I think, during COVID, and that experience alone kind of set the scene of like, you had to stay, you didn't want to stay. I was able to, once he got into a room, to go up and visit you, and that seemed fine. And overnight, it was hard for us to be apart because it's not something that we tend to do. I woke up in the morning and I called you right away.
Mm-hmm.
And how were you feeling in the morning? It was like 6:15 in the morning.
I was feeling fine. I just couldn't wait to be discharged, and I was waiting there, and the nurse came in and she started unhooking my IV and talking to me, and next thing I know, I woke up with like 10 people in my room, and the blue light was on, and I heard stroke call, 3rd floor, and the paddles were still on me, and everybody came in, and the lady said, your heart stopped.
I had called him and talked to him prior to that happening, and for me, like, I still didn't think he was making complete sense in the morning, but I went and got my green tea because he's like, I got to go. The nurse is here. They're going to take my vitals. And I was like, oh, he's going to get released. We're going to get what time out to come down and move my day around.
I wasn't making any sense to them either.
And then he didn't call me back. So I immediately got nervous and picked up the phone and called him, and he answered the phone, and he was totally like not making sense. And he was just talking in kind of circles and saying, I don't know what just happened. Somebody said pacemaker and heart stopping. And I'm like, what? And then I hear in the background, like you said, I heard
Bells.
the bells, and then the announcement, stroke on the third floor. And I'm like, what is that? And he says, that's for me. And then they came back in and I had to get off the phone. So from that point, what happened? Because I wasn't with you, I couldn't talk to you.
At that point, I just couldn't believe what had happened. And I was laying there and they were trying to explain everything that had happened. And they had to like boost me to get me going. And all of a sudden it happened again.
So what happened? What exactly happened? What did
Well,
you feel?
when it first happened, I didn't think about what was going on. I was too concerned and everything in the room and why was this happening to me. And then I started thinking, I started remembering little things. And I remember getting sucked into the bed. I don't know how to explain it except maybe in the movie Ghost, when the bad guys get sucked underground. That's how I got sucked through the bed. And I felt like it was a long time. And I went to this most beautiful field I had ever been in my life. And it was all purple flowers, not really high, just maybe a foot high. And it was just rolling field. And there was just a beautiful sun. And it was super, super bright. And it just seems like it kept getting brighter, but it wasn't warm. I was putting off the heat. I was like radiating heat to the sun, and it was beautiful. I walked around for it felt like days.
So while you were there, did you notice your physical body? You said you noticed the energy from that came from you.
No, I didn't feel like I was walking like a human. I was just walking around, and it was just bright, and it was like it was all there just for me. It was like the most because I love outdoors, and I have a thing for purple flowers from my grandmother's, and it was just gorgeous. It was absolutely gorgeous, and the sun was so beautiful. But like I said, the sun wasn't hot, and that's what was confusing to me.
What did you feel safe?
Oh yeah, there's no thought. There's no thought except just pure, utter love. A love that there's no explanation for it. It's just it's beautiful.
Were any of your senses like enlivened? Could you smell as much as you could see?
I don't think there was smell or any of that. That was like you didn't need it. It was just you could feel it all. You like didn't need the way that we smell or taste or any of that. You could feel it in you. It was just coming into you.
Like a part of you?
Yeah. Like
And
I was a part of the field and I was a part of the sun, and I didn't feel anyone else there. I kind of felt like there was people in the sun looking at me, maybe like there was another presence, but I never saw it. I just felt the most love that I've ever felt in my whole life. It was just, and when I finally did restart remembering it all, because it came back to me very slow, I cried for 4 days because it was just beautiful.
so there was a moment, when I found out they were going to transfer you to a different hospital because they thought you had a stroke and they didn't deal with that. Um, I was not sure what was happening in my body. I knew you were going to be okay, but then the mind started taking over and I was panicking. And did you feel panic like when you went to the hospital, like when they came to get you and had to transfer you and you'd had to do that whole ambulance ride?
No,
So it stayed with you, that kind of calm?
yeah, I was complaining. I mean, I'm a pretty frustrated kind of
Pretty
guy,
stressed out guy.
and no, I didn't even care. Normally, I mean, it was like I was in Disney World or something, and there was no worries.
Did you There was no worries. It's crazy. So you weren't worried about your body. You weren't
No,
worried. Did you think about like,
I thought more about missing you than everything else. Just it was what it was. It was beautiful.
were you thinking at all like, did I have a stroke? Is there something wrong with me? Were you panicking health wise at all?
At that point, when I was remembering everything that had happened, I kind of wanted to go back to that spot. It was just that beautiful. And they said that I had only stopped, my heart only stopped for 6 to 8 seconds. And I felt like I was there for weeks.
I just read, somebody posted on one of my near-death experience videos on YouTube that each second is like 4.8 years. So it's almost like 5 years for each second that your heart stops, the time that you're gone on the other side. It's like the equivalent, which is, I was like, that's mind boggling.
There's no time when you're there. It doesn't exist. It's just, all it is love. That's all that I could feel was the greatest love that I've ever felt in my life. I felt like I was the number one thing in the universe. And it was just beautiful.
Did you feel God or Jesus?
Oh, it's definitely a godly place. Definitely. But
Not a one being, but
no, it's just an energy. It's just a beautiful energy, a love energy. That's all I can say. It was just pure, utter love.
So when you did transfer and you were in the new hospital, another thing happened where we were on the phone. No, we were texting, and you texted me a picture. You said, this just showed up on my phone, and it was a picture of a field with purple flowers, and you hadn't even told me what happened yet. And you're like, does this make sense? I was there, and I was kind of confused because we hadn't had this whole conversation yet, but it was on your phone.
Yeah, that was almost like the field that I was standing in. And
had you been like thinking about it, questioning?
No, I'm not questioning it at all.
No, were you like, did you dream about it or something and then it appeared on your phone? Like, how did that happen? Did it just?
No, I think I just went to you. I was on the phone with you, talking to you when that picture was on there.
Okay.
I just picked up the phone because you called. Finally, you finally got through where I was able to talk to you. And when I picked it up and I was talking to you, and when I looked at it, it wasn't your face. It was that field. I can't explain it all.
I know, because then you texted me the picture and I was like, okay, this is definitely huge. And the angels, God, Jesus, somebody's sending you this big sign.
Yeah, like I keep saying, it's just love. And no matter, you don't think about anything else except you and everything around you. There was no other thought that I had. It was just the love energy that it was beautiful. And I really didn't remember being sucked back into the bed. And then the third time it happened in the ambulance going from one hospital to the other, it dropped down to like, and I was talking to the paramedic just like I'm talking to you. And all of a sudden he was like, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. And I felt myself going back into the bed, like being sucked right through the whole ambulance. But I never lost sight of him. He was there. And all of a sudden I was back, and he's like, he was on the thing, radioing to the ER there to meet him.
So now we're a month past where you've had tons of tests and you've seen specialists, and what have they told you? I know, but what have they told you has physically happened, and why did this happen to you?
They don't know. They said I have a heart with no thickening of the walls, which they can't believe because I'm on blood pressure medicine for so many years. I have the heart of a 30-year-old, and they can't figure out why it happened.
And so in your mind, what happened and why did it happen?
I was told a message.
And what's that message?
To keep talking about this. To make people feel better. Or just let people know that it's love, no matter where you are. And I'm sure everyone will see a different thing, or maybe it's just a happy thought that you're just going to see. I don't know, but that wasn't really something that I had seen before. It just came up as this beautiful thing that I would love to be standing in it. And all of a sudden I was standing in it.
You've had 2 conversations with 2 different men who've had different yet vastly similar experiences. And that's another thing that I love.
But it always comes down to the same thing. No matter how your experience is, everyone explains it as complete and utter love. It's just, I don't even know if you can call it love, because I don't think as humans we can understand the love that's there. I really don't. It's just, it changed me.
How?
Made me mellower, to look around at everything that's around me. not forget this. I mean, I'm talking about it on this. This is not me, but I feel like I'm supposed to let people know that it's it's beautiful. And if you've had people pass, they're in love. They're in total love. They have no worries. They have no cares. It's just beautiful.
There's no family separation. If there was a fight before they passed, that's healed. There's
I don't think so. I mean, I didn't feel any kind of anything else but love. That's all I could say.
yeah,
And it was like I was seeing love. I was feeling love. I was just, it was in me. The best way that I can explain it. It's just love.
it's huge. So going forward now, you feel safe in your body.
Oh, yeah. I'm not afraid. Not at all. I mean, I would miss everyone in my family and love everyone to pieces. But I know that you're going to have the same thing, and we're going to be together at some time again. Like, I was just like, I afterward, I'm thinking that maybe that light was just showing me this and letting me feel it, and then I was sent back. I felt like there was more, but I wasn't supposed to be at that. So I was like walking around on the outside of it in my own.
Do you feel like did you hear you're not supposed to be here? Did a voice, or was that just within?
It's all within. There's no. I don't have any voice. It's like kind of like you say it to yourself, and it's really you think that you're saying it to yourself, but it's someone else making you say it to yourself. That make any sense?
Yeah.
It's just
For me, it makes sense because when I do a reading and when I connect, I say words and I speak that they're not my words. It's not me. It just comes through me. It's just an experience.
I mean, you know that since this has happened, I've had hundreds and thousands of signs of just just remembering just telling me to remember the love, and it's just like grandparents and friends. I don't know who's sending me messages, but I think once you hook on a message that you feel is from heaven, I think they all jump on the same message. And I don't know who's sending it. You keep thinking it's the same, a couple of people because it's the same message that they would send to you in your heart. So you would know that it was really, really special.
Right.
But I think that everybody else uses that same because it's the same love at that point.
Right.
It's the same love that they're giving to everyone. And you just feel.
I love that. I love that you said that because it's just like a piggyback and it's okay. It's a union.
Yeah, there's no judgment and there's no you're doing this and I'm doing this better than that. No, it's just everyone is love.
We went to the cemetery 2 weekends ago because Brian really wanted to go down to his grandparents and see them, and you had a really big experience there too. We went to 3 cemeteries where family are. So we went to first see your Gam and Gam.
Yeah, then we went to Nan, and then we went to Gammy's mom.
We went to the Jewish cemetery to see his Gammy, and
I felt so close in that Jewish cemetery. I felt like I had 2 aunts that were just amazing, and ever since then, I just feel like I could see them a lot.
And you saw an uncle too, right? One who you hadn't met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was my Uncle Sam. And for some reason, for years, I've been thinking that he's someone that's taught me business in my head and been there for me. But these are all things that just like showed up afterward.
Right.
And I had this longing just to go to the cemetery and kneel and hug. I was hugging the stones. And it's not that they're not there, but it's like a gateway or a path that they can come easily is the way that I feel it. They can come easily there because that was their last earthly place. And I feel like you can connect there. That's why I wanted to go so bad. Uncles are coming from, I'm just remembering people that I forgot about. And I remember how wonderful they all were to me. And everybody taught me something different and they're all coming through.
So, for me, like, it's so beautiful to first to witness you having this holy experience, and then to also have you understand how it is for me. We were talking about this on the way home from the cemetery, from like seeing a loved one come through, like my Aunt Margie or my Aunt Ann, my grandmother. Like I will have that experience,
Well,
and it's piggy. It's like you said. It's like it's all love.
but I think the same thing with us. I was chosen because you are already working with this kind of stuff, and I mean, what's the chances of you doing what you do and me having this experience?
Right?
Yeah, I'm there for like proof or something, maybe proof to you that what you do.
I just feel, I don't know that I needed proof, but I feel seen.
Yeah,
I feel understood.
and I understand you 10 more times than me tenfold. It's just,
I'm going to scroll through some of these comments just to see. Sherry's saying, your sister saying, we should talk. I think it runs in the family, maybe. Sherry, baby. Billy says it gives her some peace about her friend who is on her way to the pearly gates.
even if you're going to do something and then you're second guessing yourself, and no matter what kind of experience that you had, it doesn't go. Everyone is the same. Everyone is the same. You know, you see, you feel like you're judging. You look at somebody like, all right, that's a mean person. You know, they're gonna go to hell. They're not, because this is, we're in an experience, right? We belong there. We don't belong here. We belong.
That's mind blowing right there.
Yeah, this is like no different than a hamster or something running around, but everybody is love.
Hmm.
And it's like the orbs that you see. Those orbs are love. They're just floating around, little love orbs.
So then what do you think is our purpose for being here? Let's go a little deeper.
Experience.
Mm-hmm. What kind of experience? Like just life experience?
I just think there's so many different.
Why do you think we forget that love?
I just think that's part of the human side that we're given. Maybe we were all different on the other side. I don't know. Maybe you get a judgment or something and you're sent to Earth to figure out what, you know, like no one is supposed to judge anyone. And then if you do or you think it, maybe you get sent as a baby here to grow and learn that judgment is not right. And that when we leave here, we're all the same. No matter what color you are, no matter what race you are, anything, everyone is the same. And we're all loved to the greatest love that.
How can we be better in our lives then?
I don't
or
know.
Or more love? I don't know. Maybe it's not about being better, but how can we choose more love? Like what are the things you're doing to choose love?
Judgment. We're really not trying to judge anyone for anything. Everybody's different. You know, that's why some people are doctors and some people are coal miners. Everyone is something different. And in the end, every single one of us is equal. It doesn't matter if you're poor or rich. We're just equal. We're all sent back to love. And I think as an infant, as a baby, we start as love. Birth is love. And then it's the learning as humans that we learn how not to do it. We pick up different things that we hear from people, how your parents teach you, how your family teaches you, and it all goes back to the same thing. It's almost like you go back to that infant brain and you're just walking around and the only thing that you know is love.
So for you, like you're just working on like, or just paying attention to, maybe you don't have to work, maybe just paying attention to your thoughts and making clarity. So am I judging? You're just kind of reframing yourself. Do you feel like this conversation needs to happen because we're finally coming forward out of such a hard time in our world, not just in our country, not just in our town, but literally in our world, with all the lives that were lost during COVID, all the people that or had to go to the other side, and they're experiencing love now.
Yeah. I don't know why so many people were called at one time. I don't. But maybe it's because we're in such unlove in this world that the more people that go are going to be able to radiate love back to us. I don't know. But the more people that have an experience like I had and so many people have had that would just talk about it would make everyone feel better. That, no matter what you have, you're going to get that car. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter because, yeah, it's happy time here, but there it's love. You don't feel like I can't explain it. You don't feel happy. You don't feel sad. You don't have anything. You just feel like when you pick up your first child for the first time and you're hugging it and it's that love, like, oh my God, I'm just love this. Or that time, if you ever had an experience when you're laying in between your two grandparents and they're hugging you, and it just makes you feel like no one could ever hurt you, that you have this love surrounding you. It's like a cocoon. That's what it's like.
I love that you just brought that up because that's one of the things that we do with our grandkids because it's a memory for you, right? Like that.
Yeah, some of my greatest memories, but that memory has turned into not just a memory, it's turned into the feeling of what it felt. Now I'm remembering how I felt during these times. And the beauty of the love that you get is just
because we forget our good feelings. We get lost in the emotions of pain and judgment, those emotions that take us away from the good feelings, right? That, like you said,
well, there's that phrase that people say, we're only human. It's true. We're only human. We are like low.
We are low.
We are. We're just not.
Low.
We're in the elevation of God. We're just like we're humans, and things just get better.
One of the things I just put on to remind people to come sign on tonight was that song, God Only Knows. I put it in my Instagram story and a picture of you looking outside. You know, the picture I took of you the other day, looking out the window. And this song is really an important song.
It's important to me.
It is. I think it's an important song for me as well, but I wanted you to share why it's important to you. And I kind of feel like it ties into this whole.
Well, it's been important to me for a long time. And I always say that, when people are feeling depressed and people are feeling down, and that's what I say to them, everything. God only knows. So it's just he knows what's going to happen to you. Stop trying to think about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next week. Just live then, because your path is made and we can't change it. We think that we can, but we are who we are because that's who he wants us to be. And I strongly believe, and he wanted me to have that experience, to come back and tell people that he's love and everything is love.
And it doesn't matter what people think or say.
No, doesn't matter at all. A lot of people walk around thinking they're ugly, too tall, too fat, too short. It doesn't matter. Your body is love. And you're gonna go to love and be the same as everyone else. We're all.
What about religion? Does religion separate?
No. Religion is just a way that we made up to pray to our higher power, our God, whatever. But it all is the same. It's like a pyramid, and when you get to the top, it's still the same person. Whether you're whatever faith that you have, it's just your belief, but
it's still divine.
It's a divine thing. And yeah, it's great that you go and pray, and sometimes I love to go to church and I love to pray and things, but you don't have to be there for God to be feeling you or you to feel him or her or whoever it is. I mean, it's this beautiful spirit. It's the Holy Spirit. It's wonderful.
We got to have first we had dinner with a couple, and we had no idea that he had the experience, and that was kind of a fun,
because
night out. And
you're reluctant to talk about it because you don't want people to think you're weird. But let me tell you, Anybody out there thinks I'm weird? I don't care. Maybe I am, but let me tell you, I know what I know what I know.
Yeah. Well, that's how I feel. I mean, I know people don't always get me. It's been one of those things
But it
in my
doesn't
life
matter.
that's been like to be okay with that. It didn't matter. And most of the time I'm okay, but I'm sensitive. I can't say that I'm like that 100% of the time because I'm human. I'm flawed. Um, and I don't want to care, but there are times I do, right?
That's your humanism.
That's humanness, right? But I can find that path to love myself. And I think this experience reminds me that my self care routine, my prayer, my everything that I do is really, really important for my stability, for my well being.
And even when you're feeling like that, you have things go through your head like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I doing that?
Yeah, because it's a judgment, right?
Yeah, but that's someone else is putting that. I'm telling you, somebody else is putting those thoughts inside of your head.
Hmm.
They're telling you,
Not the judgment ones, you mean the.
no, asking you why you're doing it. Why are
Oh,
you judging yourself? Why are you, I'm a terrible person. And
not
you
the.
think, well, I'm not that bad of a person.
Right.
And it's like, because they try to steer you through that. I mean, if somebody started talking to you, it'd be like the toaster talking to you. It's not going to happen. It's,
Ah, okay.
yeah.
All right, let's see. Thank you for being so courageous, and Angelina. Thank you, Angelina. Kathy Berry, she says she's loving this, crying over here. We love you, Kathy. By the way, Brian and I are
I
gonna.
love looking at all of your
Yeah,
Instagram with your kids.
we're coming to visit you,
Yeah.
girl. Um, Sherry says he lives inside of us. Yes, Sherry.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Um, Luann, you have reinforced what I have always believed. Thank you for sharing this. Look, that's really beautiful. Isn't that the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm crying. So nice. Thank you for sharing. Steve is watching. Steve, we need to go to Turks and Caicos to meet you guys there, right? What's for dinner? Where are we going? You're making the reservation? Come on.
Like I said, if there's anybody out there that has the same type of experience, try to go through Jeannie, and I would love to talk to you. I'd love to sit down face to face and just, because we're meant to talk about it.
Mm.
We really are.
Look at you.
No, it's true. I mean, we are. I mean, I have God only knows tattooed on my back.
I was waiting for you to tell them. Yeah, he does.
About 10 years ago, I had this thing where I had to put Jesus on my back. So I have a huge tattoo of Jesus, the lion, the lamb, the dove, Archangel Michael, and Archangel Raphael. And it's on the top of all of it, it says angels, I mean, it said God only knows, because that's what I feel inside. And this whole experience with me has made me feel that it's true, that I did that for a reason.
It's always a question, right? If our loved ones are in heaven, if they're okay, or if they're together. And for me, it's like, yes. And I love how Brian was saying, like, he felt like the souls piggyback on each other and come through, and it's all that love. And that's really truly how it is when I do a reading, and one soul will come through and it will have a meaning for other people that are listening.
I think it's a channel that we create here, and they all ride on it. Like we have certain things that make us feel really happy, like remind us of someone that has passed. And if it's that strong in us, then all the others can follow through on that same thing. And then they have their little deviations. But most of the time you have like the same, you see the same things, like whether it's a bird or numbers or whatever. They all use that same route. It's like a highway.
Right, the same symbols.
Yeah. And they all come through the same way.
I'll say that's true for me. Like, whenever I get certain, because it's numbers for me, and I'll know, but I also know like who's sending it. Like I'll get, oh, okay, that's my grandpa. Oh, okay, this is my grandma Alice, or like I get where I know who they are because they're showing me too. But well, thank you all for tuning in and listening and allowing my beautiful man to share his story. You guys, keep shining and pouring love into yourself and
Try not to judge others.
or yourself. Or
Yeah.
yourself.
Because we're all the same.
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to end with, you know what I know, because angels don't lie.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, love. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have a beautiful night.
The truth, when she smiles at you, she'll say